My son, Kevin, 26 male, had my grandson, Tanner, tween male, in high school with an ex-girlfriend, Kendra, 26 female. She wasn't ready to be a mom, and she cheated on Kevin and pretty much abandoned him and Tanner after she started having addiction issues, which took its toll on Kevin. Though he started dating this boy, Callum, 27, a year later, he stuck around, and they got married in college, and later he adopted my grandson. Now, I know Callum has been a great stepdad to Tanner, and me and Kevin's mom like him a lot, but my wife and I wish Tanner got to know his mom. She recently got back in touch a few months ago, wanting to get to know Tanner after getting out of the Army. Kevin didn't like that too much, but decided on supervised visits. Sometimes my wife and I babysit when the boys happen to work late. Kendra came by a few weeks ago, just wanting to see Tanner, and we let her. Since then, we let her take him for an hour so she could spend some time with him. Callum got off work earlier than he thought last week when we were babysitting and came to pick Tanner up early. The problem was that he was out with Kendra and they hadn't returned yet. Callum was upset when he found out, freaking out at us for letting Tanner go off with Kendra. I told him to calm down because we'd been letting them spend time together and nothing had happened. He got even more upset and told us that's not what he and Kevin had agreed on with her, and we were going behind their backs. I promptly reminded him that he wasn't Tanner's biological parent and he had no right to keep him away from his mom like that. He got this sad look on his face and just went outside and sat in his car till Kendra brought Tanner back and he took Tanner home. I got an angry call from Kevin the next day about how he couldn't believe I said that to Callum after all he'd done for him and Tanner, that Callum was way more of a real parent to Tanner than Kendra ever was. He's still been mad at me since then. Am I the idiot? Neither Kevin nor Callum knew we were letting Kendra spend time with Tanner. We just wanted him to get to know his mom. You are the idiot. Completely. A parent's not just someone who's biologically related. It's about who sticks around. Also, I seriously question your judgment. You're letting a young child go with a mom that abandoned him and had addiction problems, unsupervised, away from the house. Yep, that sounds brilliant. Remember that you don't have any rights as a grandmother, and Kevin could very easily refuse to leave you alone with the child, as he can't trust you. You've stepped over the line with both the child and what you said to Callum. Exactly. Without the custodial parent's permission, letting an unknown quantity of a human take the child without the custodial parent's permission. OP, your judgment is so poor here. It's scary. The correct course of action for Kevin is no more unsupervised visits with grandma and grandpa. That's not the vindictive course. That's the ethical, sane, correct course of action for a switched-on parent. OMG. I know, I can't get over is it naivete? She's been gone for years and just popped back up and wanted to see her child. She's a stranger. She shouldn't have unsupervised visits with the child. OP, I'm being very serious here. You put your grandson in danger. Because what if she just up and disappears again? She's done it once. So what's stopping her from doing it again? She isn't even legally his mom. Callum adopted Tanner, and generally speaking, that terminates a birth parent's rights. She's just an egg donor, and psycho granddad thinks he can just decide to prioritize her relationship regardless of the literal law. This is some real just no behavior. He'll be lucky if his son and son-in-law don't go no contact over this. You owe Callum a heartfelt apology in which you acknowledge his role in Tanner's life as a parent. Oh, I 100% believe this would have never happened if Kevin had married a woman. The biomom isn't even related to OP. The only reason to care so much is the prejudice against gay people and the misguided idea that all kids need a mom and that a mom's influence is always good. Never mind that mom either willingly surrendered her rights or was such a danger, negative influence, or non-entity that her rights were terminated. Kids need a mom? My girlfriend has a pre-tween daughter with a heart condition. I have a daughter 1 year younger and a tween son. My girlfriend's daughter has very specific needs that can be hard to work around. She can only be with one babysitter, so if we want to go out without the kids, we must go on that babysitter schedule. If we want to bring the kids, we must be at her house by 7, so her daughter can be in her bed by 8. Day trips are nearly impossible because she takes a 2 to 3 hour nap at 12, so we either have to be driving for those 2 to 3 hours, we have to leave after she wakes up, or we have to get a hotel or a motel or Airbnb for her to take a nap. Yes, we've actually done this before. Then there's all the hospital stays to work around. She stays in the hospital for 2 nights every 14 days. I only have 50-50 custody of my kids, so it's very hard to get the kids together because of all of this. Sure, we can go to Build-A-Bear, the indoor playground down the street from her house, or out for ice cream, but you can only do that so many times before the kids get bored of it. I've been trying to plan a weekend trip to an amusement park for so long, but she wants to make us all work around her daughter's nap schedule. The amusement park doesn't open until 10, but we have to leave at 11:30 so she could return to the hotel for her daughter to nap. We could go after she wakes up, so we probably would get in around 3:30, but the water rides close at 5. So my kids would only get to ride 1, maybe 2 water rides, then another couple of regular rides before we'd have to go back for her daughter to go to bed. She wants to do something that would be more accessible for her daughter. She can't go on the bigger rides or water slides, and her having to take a nap would take a lot of time from the rides and games, like the beach, and rent a place where we can do things in the house instead of having to go out all the time. Still, my kids really want to do the amusement park trip. I eventually told her we were going to do the amusement park. She and her daughter were welcome to join, but we won't be leaving early for naps or early bedtime. But she doesn't want to attend a trip and split the cost of it. I can barely afford the amusement park without her because her daughter won't be able to participate very much. She says I'm dismissing her daughter's needs, but I think she's refusing to consider anyone else's needs. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Take your children to the amusement park. Girlfriend and daughter can join or not. You had 2 kids before this girlfriend. They should come first. They won't be young for long, and it would be a shame to miss this time of doing fun things with them. It's not their fault you chose this girlfriend. Don't make them suffer. I won't call a single mom with a little girl with a heart issue an idiot, but you can have a backbone and sometimes put your children first. Disagree. If OP wants to do a trip for just his kids, that's fine. What he should be doing regardless. Not everything has to be or should be a group activity in a blended family. The sticking point here is that OP can't afford this trip if his girlfriend isn't helping to split the cost. Seems like OP is burying the lead here because he doesn't want to accommodate his girlfriend's daughter on a trip she won't be fully able to enjoy as planned, and wants his girlfriend to help subsidize that trip all the same. OP, the important thing, though, is that your kids and her daughter seem to have conflicting needs, which is going to make it extremely difficult to maintain a relationship. Your girlfriend is trying to accommodate her daughter. If you aren't willing to go along with this, it sounds like it's probably not going to be a good relationship for either family. Update. My girlfriend just texted me that since I'm, quote, unwilling to compromise and find an accessible activity that everyone would enjoy, she booked a last-minute 7-day cruise for herself and her daughter, so the kids and I can do whatever the heck we want, but she won't have any part in it. I, 32 male, have been divorced from my ex-wife, L, 32, for 4 years. It was not a nice thing. She and my ex-best friend, Silas, 25 male, have been married for 3 years and have a baby. My parents and L's parents were longtime family friends, and that didn't stop after our divorce. My parents are hosting their yearly garden party, which is just an excuse for them to catch up and gossip with the other seniors. I was visiting my parents when they told me that Silas and L would be in town and that they were invited to the garden party. My parents can't wait to meet their baby. I told them no, they were not coming. My parents didn't budge and said they would not be rude enough to retract an invitation after Elle and Silas agreed. I said no one wants their ex-wife at their parents' party. My parents said I could be polite for one day. They really want to meet the baby, and catch up with them. I made an ultimatum that it was either them or me. I would not attend if they came. My parents called me an idiot for making them choose, as Silas and Elle had asked it and potentially making Elle's parents think badly of them. Am I the idiot? Edit. I forgot to include some background. My ex and I both made mistakes, but she had an emotional affair behind my back for months, while mine was literally a half-a-second accident. Elle had an emotional affair with Silas, but she insists she didn't and only thought of a relationship after we separated, which is BS since they moved so fast. I think she was looking for a reason to divorce me because I made that one little mistake, and she threw me out of the house and poisoned my relationship with my parents. Silas was my best friend, and I never could think he would choose her over me. I defended him from her every time she would say I was too old or had too much to think about to hang out with Silas, but apparently she wasn't too old to get knocked up by him. My wife and I had problems in our marriage. She was going through a medical issue, and she was very testy and impatient with me. Not to mention, she wasn't in the mood for anything. I worked so many hours for us, and honestly, work was a better environment for me. It was happier. I didn't feel criticized. My coworkers actually liked me. At a work party, it got a little out of hand, and I accidentally kissed a coworker. I realized what I was doing was a mistake, and I immediately pulled back. It was half a second of our lips touching at most. A coworker told my wife, and she immediately threw me out of the house with no warning and filed for separation. Silas moved in a few months later. They get married and pop out a little miracle baby my parents fawn over. I asked them why they had to have Elle and Silas at this garden party specifically, and it was because everybody wants to meet the baby. You are the idiot. Oh, so you forgot to add you cheated on your wife, and everyone took her side. I don't care if it was just a kiss. You cheated, and from what you told us, she didn't. You just thought she did because she moved on fast, and you're obviously projecting. You chose to date a family friend's daughter and then cheat on her. You can't expect your family to then cut her out. They don't even know her through you. You know her through them. Welcome to the consequences of your own actions. Adding in, he justified cheating on her because she was having medical problems and not paying enough attention to him, meaning she wouldn't have intimacy with him. Probably because, she was sick. OP, you came to strangers online, posted half the story, blaming your spouse for your dissatisfaction, and accused her of an emotional affair with no proof whatsoever. If you have to hide half your story and leave out everything you did in a situation, you're in the wrong. That's just embarrassing. Exactly. Sucks to be OP. Their wife was having medical challenges. OP didn't want to be bothered with her at home and eventually cheated with a coworker. As a result, he lost his marriage, and his wife found happiness with a friend after their divorce. OP wants to rewrite history and make her out to be the villain, but it seems his family and social circles see through his BS. Good on OP's ex for finding happiness. OP nuked his own marriage, and that has consequences. It's also not his party, so too bad. So sad, really. He can choose not to attend. My daughter took it fairly well when my ex-husband and I divorced 3 years ago. She unfortunately understood why, so it wasn't a shock, but of course it was still a major change. Our main focus was on doing what was best for her, so we tried to involve her as much as was healthy in what the new schedule would be. We settled on a flexible 50-50, and she took it in stride. The only thing she asked was never to have any new parents or siblings. I thought it was a weird thing to ask for, as neither of us was even considering dating, but she was worried to the point of hysterics about it, so we agreed. A year and a half ago, enter my now husband. My daughter met him, and they got along fine. She met his kids, and that was fine, and she's probably met too many of her father's female guests, so I thought she'd gotten over it. I was wrong. Late last year, we got engaged and started prepping to move in together, and she lost it. She went into hysterics that I was breaking my promise. She announced that she would not be spending the night with me anymore and demanded to live with her father 100% of the time. I told her that was ridiculous and that the schedule was not changing. Her father decided to back her and will fight it in court, quote, if necessary. My lawyer says it could go either way. If it goes to court, because she is a young teen, which is a last resort for us. I don't want this change. Her father loves her, but he's not a responsible parent. He leaves her home alone far too much and doesn't even try to supervise or put limits on anything. More so, my daughter's a child and shouldn't have the right to dictate how much she sees her parents. I know I stupidly agreed not to remarry at that moment, but that wasn't realistic to promise, and she had to know that. My ex is on her side and thinks that she should live where she's most comfortable and agrees with her that I'm being irresponsible. I don't think giving her that much power is healthy, especially over something that was demanded when she was tween years old. You are the idiot. Don't promise your kid something and then be annoyed she's upset that you broke that promise. I don't think you should force her to live with anyone she doesn't want to live with. That includes the man you're having intimacy with. And you should have known that it was important to her. It is a very valid concern, and I'm on her side. At least OP should have sat down with her daughter for a talk before making this big of a decision, in my opinion. Explain that she made a promise at that time, but she's in love now, and add the reasons she wants to marry her fiancé, etc., and have a conversation. I think OP doesn't consider her daughter as her own person and as a kid who doesn't know any better or whose feelings don't matter. OP, if you continue to ignore your daughter's feelings and dismiss her, you'll lose her. Your lawyer is right. She will get to choose who she lives with, but the courts will likely require some visitation, i.e., at least every other weekend. However, depending on the living situation, i.e., sharing a room, may not require any overnights. It's less about no remarrying, no siblings, but more about how fast you're moving. You've been divorced for 3 years. So a year and a half ago, you introduced this man to your child, and now they're already moving in and playing happy family? Yikes. I, male 29, have lived with my girlfriend, 29, for 3 years. We've always split bills and rent, proportional to income. She introduced this idea and explained why she supports its equitable breakdown, and we both do chores and housework equally. Up until a month ago, I earned almost double her income. However, my company's been doing pay cuts, and my girlfriend recently got a significant promotion, so now she makes about 50% more than I do. However, now she wants us to either keep the rent and bills pay distribution as it was before, as in she pays 35% and I pay 65%, or she will pay 50-50 max. I asked her why we're not doing proportional splits anymore, and she said I should just be grateful that she's flexible enough to upend her finances for me and split it 50-50. She's been cold with me recently and told me she shouldn't have to punish herself for her financial successes and that my lack of adaptability is off-putting. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She already has one foot out the door and is trying to save money for the inevitable breakup. Get out now. She knows how selfish it is. She doesn't care because it benefits her. So she was very happy to pay less when it was in her favor. Grown women know how percentages work. Unfortunately, some people are just entitled and greedy. I agree that she has one foot out the door. She now makes enough to support herself. I don't think she is trying to save up behind his back. She wants him to support her financially, and she won't support him. I think if she was committed to the relationship, she wouldn't mind paying her fair share. OP, she showed you who the top priority will always be, herself. I'm seriously considering leaving her, given her newfound selfishness and hypocrisy. I only received a pay cut because of a company reorganization. It is also extremely likely that I'll be appointed to a major executive position this year, which would give me over 4 times my current salary. When it starts flowing in, I can enjoy that money alone. Thanks for your advice.